My name is Vogue Robinson. I am the Director of Development here at Left of Center Art Gallery, one of my favorite places in the Valley. That I came into this space was, I don't know, I needed it and it needed me. I had come multiple times as an artist who was showing, so Miss Vicki and Mary Lou reached out to me and asked for poetry in the gallery, and I was like, you want my poems to be next to fine art? I was so honored, and so it helped me see my art in a different way and to think, okay, art is all encompassing. Of course, this literary art belongs with the arts and beside visual arts as well. And so it was really just an excellent confidence booster. And so that was step one of just knowing that they saw value in me. They let me record a poem during the pandemic, and they actually had the video on loop on display in one of the rooms downstairs as well. So it went from my text on the walls to my whole visage being in the space. And over time, I kind of kept talking with Miss Vicki and saying, you guys need a social media presence, and I think I can help with that. And she also knew that I helped with writing grants as well. So that combination of skills, I have a special set of skills, and she allowed me to come here. So it's a job, but it's also service. And every day I learn something new, and I'm encouraged, and it's a wonderful place to be. It's important on so many levels. So on the ground level, we have our studio, and the studio at Left of Center is open to any artist. So you can come in off the street on a Saturday, find an area you want to sit, bring your art materials and work. And I think we often think about artistry as a solitary thing, that we work alone. And to work in community, you just hear the hum of other people painting and creating and know, I'm not the only one who does this. Maybe I'm weird, but I'm not the only person who sits here, thinks about something in my mind and tries to show it and put it on canvas. So having each other, it decreases competition and brings forth this idea that we're working together, that we're creating something beautiful together, and helps people build. So that's the studio side. On the other side of the building, we also have our gallery, and the gallery on the other side is where we let artists show their completed work. And even I have a hard time celebrating when something is finished. But this is a place where local artists, and we sometimes have international artists and artists from out of state, come into the space on the other side and have a show. And then you get to see, what does my art look like when it's up on a wall, when it has a label, when I've made a decision about a price? What happens when it's displayed as a collection? So seeing your work not as these little dots that aren't interconnected, what happens when you connect the dots of your work and put it all together? And I think that is so important, because if you haven't imagined your work on a wall, seeing someone else do it gives you a really solid example. So that's the downstairs level. Upstairs in the African Art Museum, where we are now, this is about heritage, this is about culture. Mary Lou, the gallery director, always points out that it gives us a space for cross-cultural communication to show, okay, well, this mask is worn for a particular ceremony, a crossing over ceremony. It's about life and death and birth, and these are universal. And so really humanizing a lot of African culture that maybe people aren't often privy to. They don't see it as often because it's not taught. So giving people another space, because our schools are doing the best that they can, and where else can we supplement that for the community? And Left of Center is one of those places. What advice would I give someone who wants to create a space like this? I think the first thing is that you don't do it alone. Miss Vicki Richardson didn't found this on her own. It was Vicki Richardson, it was Harold Bradford, and Sylvester Collier. And it brings me to the Margaret Mead quote about, never doubting what a committed group of people, a small dedicated group of people, can really make big change. So being open to asking for help, and whatever you do or you create, be consistent. I think that when we talk about partnerships throughout the community, we have so many that we've started with that we're really proud of. So we partner with Nevada Arts Council to create events that are specifically for artist development. And that set of programming for Thursday Night Live has been so fruitful and so helpful because it's connecting people to the resources that exist. So that's number one. we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to make partnerships and talk to who we're all working towards the same goal. When I think about our dream partnership, I think it's just Clark County School District, to be honest. But I need Clark County School District and I need a bus company. And if we can get if us three can work together to start having more consistent field trips, I think that would be the best way to go, because oftentimes the schools can't quite pay for the buses to bring the students here. That's been a barrier, as well as obviously the pandemic as well created a very large barrier. So I think those two things, those two organizations would be the first major step, but then talking to other art galleries as well. What happens when we create like a children's art crawl? And so what if it goes from here to Priscilla Fowler's gallery to the BRX, and then, I don't know, you end at the Smith Center so the students can see an art show and see art in motion, see the theater and the dance and all those good things. So I think, I'd love to see kind of this wonderful art map for our students, because the Valley is chock full of tremendously talented students. Investing in Left of Center is like investing in yourself. It's investing in people making time for something that they enjoy, learning a new skill. This gallery has always been free and open to the public. And so, but of course, that doesn't make the light bill free. It doesn't change the fact that we still have other things we need to make sure to maintain the building and to maintain its integrity. I think this is a place that the community can be proud of. And even within the African Art Museum itself, it's not just the private collections of Miss Vicki Richardson, and let's see, it was Miss Vicki Richardson, Joseph Walker, and Calvin B. Jones. Their collections combined, as well as Lou Richardson, their family collections combined made the African Art Museum when it began. But then other people in the community started bringing in works of art that they were given or that they brought back from Africa, and we're trying to figure out, okay, I brought this from Ghana, it doesn't fit my home, where else can I hang it? They brought it here. So it's a way for people to reflect on their own personal past, but also, it's preserved. So it's preserving history. So it's preserving the history of culture, but also community as well. So I think that's one of the biggest things, but also you gotta have places where people can feel comfortable to be themselves. And the only way to have them is to make them. And so, or to invest in them to make sure that they continue to exist. I think that the legacy of Left of Center is friendship and the importance of friendship and what happens when you continue to work together and hold one another accountable over time. And I think it shows what you can build when you don't quit. When you don't quit, and the painstaking, and I think it's an example of the patience required to create great art is shown in what this gallery represents and what it does. So I think that intergenerational work is such a great component of it. So there are people who we've been mentoring. We had a 9-year-old in the African Art Museum take a class with Lance Smith. She was here for 2-hour classes, 8 weeks of her summer. She was here once a week. And that was her grandfather invested in her so she could take the class. And then we spent time with her and made sure that she was as comfortable as possible and got to pick which of the African art pieces reminded her of a Pokemon. And then she would pick that piece and draw it. So the younger generation being mentored to say, oh, art is a thing I can do, and I can do it for fun, or if I want to do it as a career, I can do that as well. So beautifying the Valley overall. Harold Bradford did a lot of the designs for the signs in the Valley. So if you see the Welcome to the Historic West Side, that signage, Harold designed that. That's an artist's hand. The Buffalo Bills, the casino, that signage, that's Harold's hand. So in so many different places, whether it's public art, the heart of children, honestly, to get, and then the careers of artists who are up and coming, I think that those things will be what reverberates on through time, because it's about history, but it's also about kind of lighting the way for the future too. Everyone who talks about Left of Center calls it their home. And the reason for that is because we make people feel like they are a part of the space, they can add to the space, and we appreciate everybody's contributions. Left of Center makes you feel like you're at home, and people will come back, people will stay. So we're gonna be responsible for some amazing people claiming Vegas. Don't do it alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And whatever you do, try to be consistent about it. And slow and steady wins the race. This is how we get to 30 years, is little by little.